I think you clicked on this video because you are tired of your need for external validation running your life and literally making decisions for you. If you feel like you struggle, if you don't get enough likes when you post a picture and you start to question whether or not it's even a good piece of content, or you don't want to challenge somebody because you're scared that if you disagree with them, you're going to get booted out of the group because you need their approval to stay in the group, or even that you need to tell as many people as possible the tea and get everybody's validation that you didn't do anything wrong. All of these things are relying on external validation for you to feel like you're worthy, to feel like you did the right thing, that you are maybe the good girl. I was definitely in a situation where I was trying to get external validation. I was thriving off external validation, not only from men, but also from my friends, in order to live a life that other people would approve of. It is truly an exhausting existence to constantly be seeking external validation, because think about it, people can remove their approval at any point, and then what? You tumble down. Having all your value and the way you see yourself and all your self-worth based on literally the whims of other people is very shaky ground to be on. The moment that somebody doesn't approve of what you do, you then start to second guess yourself. You don't trust yourself. You're thinking, what have I done wrong? Am I a bad person? You know, do I not look cute anymore? Having external validation is just such shaky grounds to be basing anything on, to be honest with you, because you can't control it. And it's not all about control, obviously, but you cannot control how other people view you. And frankly, you deserve better than that. You deserve to have full control of where your validation comes from, and that should come from you and within, internal validation. Many of us seek external validation because we went through school and that's all about external validation. Everybody is trying to, you know, be cool. Everybody is just trying to not stick out like a sore thumb. But coming out of school or uni or whatever it might be, you realize actually none of that matters, and actually being your unique self is what makes people drawn to you, is what matters the most. And getting that internal validation in turn is actually what's going to set you up for a good life. If you're constantly following other people, you're constantly masking and putting on a pretense in order to gain other people's so-called approval, which doesn't exist anyway, nobody's really that focused on you, then you are living your life for other people. And that's why it's so dangerous. When we seek external validation, we are essentially a passenger in our own life. We're not living our life for ourselves. And that's why that's kind of like the darker end of it. We're not living a life on our terms. We're not living a life because, you know, it makes us happy. We're living it to gain the approval of our family, the approval of our friends, the approval of our partner, the approval of society. It takes double the amount of effort to pretend to be somebody else. It takes so much effort to be inauthentic. That's why it's exhausting. That's why you're watching this video thinking, how the fuck am I going to get out of this? This is how. And the first thing I'm going to say is you need to start prioritizing respect over being liked. And again, this is a people pleaser thing. If you're a people pleaser, you know what's up. Being a people pleaser, you are constantly, or at least in the extreme end, you are forever doing things for the approval of other people to get people to like you. And if you're a people pleaser or a recovering one, you'll know that that is futile. You'll know that it doesn't fucking work. Nobody can do that. You cannot control how people view you. You could be the nicest, kindest, loveliest, most charismatic person, and somebody's not going to like you. And you cannot control that. And being so obsessed with them liking you when it's just not a natural match is such a waste of your time. The good thing about being authentic and focusing on respect is that you repel people that are not aligned with you, and you attract people that are aligned for you. And then you're going to have fulfilling relationships in your life. You're not going to be messing about, wasting time with people that are not aligned with you, all in the pursuit of just being popular, being liked, and gaining that external validation that is, oh, I've got loads of friends, I've got people that like me, you know, most people like me, I'm a likable person. That's not a flex. In my opinion, whenever I think of that now, I just think you are having to do a lot of work, you are having to mask a lot in order for you to be connected to all these people, because you cannot possibly be your authentic self with all of these people. You know, not everybody is gonna like you, and that's just a fact of life. We're all different. So focusing on the respect part is really important. So for example, say if there's something you don't agree with, somebody's hurt you, somebody's been disrespectful, it is a disservice to yourself to not say anything because you want to maintain being liked and maintain getting that external validation, instead of standing up for yourself. And okay, maybe they might not like you, but at least they'll respect you when you stand your ground and you stand up for yourself. That's more important than being liked. And I think when you start to focus on being respected, you end up naturally drawing people in anyway. You end up attracting really great people because they're like, fair enough, they stand up for what's right. There have been so many instances in my life where I have stood up for myself or called something out that I'm like, oh my God, this is really uncomfortable, because I'm scared they're not going to like me anymore. I'm scared they're going to reject me. I'm scared they're going to just do a smear campaign against me if I stand up for myself and set boundaries, for example. And I remember having all these thoughts, at the time when I would want to raise an issue, even though I felt scared to, doing it anyway, and then realizing that people actually rated me for it. Like, they rated the fact that I'd said something even when it was uncomfortable and even when it was in disagreement with them. I was talking to a colleague the other day and she said that there was somebody at her old work that she really didn't get on with very well, and she felt like there was kind of like a beefy relationship constantly, like he'd wind her up and so on. And then when he left, he actually wrote a letter to her, or like a note to her, just saying, I really respect you standing up for yourself. And it just shows that people are drawn to people that stand for something. And unfortunately, when we're so focused on being liked and getting external validation, people feel a bit suspicious towards people that are on the fence. They don't want to rock the boat because they're worried that people might not like them for it. Their focus is being liked and being amenable and being pleasant to people and pleasing people essentially, rather than saying what's on their mind, obviously, within reason. But, I think people tend to respect people that have a stance, say their stance, stand up for themselves, and clearly show a lot of respect for themselves. People are drawn to that. I'm so drawn to people that clearly have an opinion and respect themselves. Like, I back that. I'm very suspicious of people that you can tell are kind of focused on being likable. I think it's so futile and it's just never going to work. Not everybody is going to like you. And then when somebody doesn't like you, you take it so personally because that's your goal. Gaining that external validation from them, thinking they like me, but then when they don't like you or somebody doesn't like you, all of that shattered, all of your feeling of worth is shattered by that one person, or some of your self-worth is eroded because there's one person that doesn't like you. You feel like you failed, you feel like your attempts at being likable haven't worked, and it just doesn't work like that. When you are so focused on being liked, you get disappointed when people don't like you because you're trying so hard to be liked. When your focus is to be respected, you back yourself a lot more, you stand for what you think is right, and people in turn actually respect that. So I know it's not about external validation and people liking you because you respect yourself, but making respect more important than likability is going to stop you from seeking external validation, because when you do things that are aligned with you respecting yourself, there are going to be people that you piss off. There are going to be people that don't like, for example, your new boundaries, people that don't like it when you say no. Over time, they will respect it, which is much better for you as well. But when we start doing things to please other people, when we start saying yes to things we don't want to say yes to, and we start doing things to serve other people, we are basically training our brain to think that our needs don't matter. And that, combined with your worth being completely based on other people, is fragile ground to be on. And it means that you are forever seeking that external validation in order to feel some sense of worth. Developing a great trust for yourself is so key. And one of the ways you can do this is literally just to practice it. Every time you're in a situation where you would ordinarily back down and you would just say, no, you're right, I was wrong, and you completely put other people's opinions and other people's thoughts on a pedestal, practice not doing that. Practice standing your ground. And that's something that personally for me really developed a huge amount of self-trust, because formerly, as a recovering people pleaser, I would put other people's opinions on a pedestal. I would believe other people when they'd say things that were hurtful about me, or I would really just take on everybody else's opinion and put mine at the very back burner. I would see my opinion and my thoughts as like less valid than everybody else's because I was focused on that external validation. And the way I kind of got out of it was literally to do things that proved that I trusted myself. So for example, say if somebody maybe disagreed with me or they did something that was hurtful and I stood up to them and then they tried to clap back and get me back into my place, I would clap back almost and just stand my ground and say no, even though I am second guessing myself, even though I am feeling like I'm being gaslit and I am worried that I'm doing the wrong thing, still on the face of it saying no, this hurt me, I don't like this, I don't agree with this, and actually doing things that suggest that you trust yourself, such as standing up for yourself, is going to build that self-trust. And in the moment, certainly the first few times when you first start standing up for yourself and you start doing things that are aligned with self-trust, it is going to be uncomfortable. You are going to be second guessing yourself. You are going to be questioning what you're doing because you're not used to it. Like, you're not used to sort of prioritizing your opinions, your thoughts over other people's, because you put them on such a pedestal formally. And when you start to kind of take them down, dismantle them from the pedestal by doing things like standing up for yourself, saying no, putting in boundaries, putting yourself first, despite the backlash as well, and still doing it, that's where you're going to garner self-trust, and that's where you're going to seek less and less this external validation, because you're not putting anybody else's opinion on a pedestal. You're just seeing it as just as valid as yours. And I think that's a really powerful place to get to, where you are so sure of yourself and trusting your experience as well. Based on your experience, this is what you think, this is your opinion, and not trying to be this good girl of like, objectively this was wrong, objectively this was right, you know, having this black and white mentality and just thinking, actually, everybody's different, everybody's going to have their own opinions. My opinion is not, you know, inherently wrong or right. It's just a human to human. People have different experiences, they have different boundaries. Just knowing that and realizing that you do not have to be obsessing over doing the right thing all the time, and just doing things that you think work for you and are aligned with you, standing up for yourself and doing things that suggest a trust for yourself. That's where the true empowerment comes from. It's not trying to find the you're not trying to be objectively right all the time, having this good person syndrome, which is definitely something I was obsessed with. I was like, oh no, in order for other people to see me as valid, in order to make sure that everybody thinks that I'm the good person in this situation, I need to do this, this and this. No. All you can do is lead with good intentions on that point and just back your own experience. There's no such thing as a wrong or right experience anyway, and knowing that as well really builds self-trust. Knowing that like your experience is not invalid or is not as important as somebody else's experience is quite important as well for building that self-trust. But yeah, standing up for yourself and doing things that suggest that you back your opinion is really important. Say for example, you're at work and somebody questions like, I don't know, an idea that you have, and you're able to back it up there rather than just cower down, or being able to, I don't know, say if you got like a really good idea and you want to make a piece of content about it, or say for example at the beginning of the video, you know, you make a really great piece of content, you take a pic of yourself that you really like the outfit of or something like that, you post it and you don't get much external validation. Oh well, who cares, you like it. And doing stuff anyway, despite the fact that you might not get external validation for it, is really key. Certainly in my content creation career, initially I wanted to get external validation. I was like, oh, you know, if I don't get this amount of engagement on this post, then like it's shit. And it's like, that's just not how it works. There's so many other factors that go into it. And anyway, it doesn't matter. I liked the picture, I like the piece of content, and that's really all that matters. If other people like it, fucking great, bonus, but that's not the goal here. And again, it's that self-trust and self-respect over likability. That's how you're gonna stop getting external validation, is putting yourself out there despite the fact that you might not get the external validation that you're looking for. That doesn't mean that it's shit, that doesn't mean your idea is shit, that doesn't mean that who you are is bad, it doesn't mean that what you have to offer is not good enough or anything like that. It just means that sometimes we don't get external validation, but that's not where our value lies, is it? Our value lies here. Also, people are mostly just projecting, and realizing that people are mostly just projecting really stopped me from taking things personally and trying to gain external validation. Through school and through uni, I would really take things personally, and I think part of this external validation kind of overcoming it is also not taking things personally. Realizing that things are not personal, realizing that the way that people behave is not personal, is so empowering. And also understanding that, okay, yeah, it's not personal, it's not about me, the way they're behaving towards me is about them, does not mean that you can just brush it off. I think this is what a lot of people think. They think, oh, you know, I don't take things personally, like I don't care, like they can treat me however they want. That's not it. Not taking things personally is just understanding that it's not about you. The way people behave is nothing to do with you per se. Obviously, if you've done something wrong, that's a different story. But say if somebody is just mean to you for no reason, or they're disrespectful for no reason, or they make stupid comments for no reason, just try and like tear you down, that's a reflection of their inner world. Like they're sour, and understanding that you don't have to put up with that is one thing as well. You don't have to deal with that. Just because you understand that it's not about you and it's not a personal attack, that does not mean that you don't have the right then to be like, well, fuck this, I don't have time for this, I'm not going to be treated like that, and walk off. Like that's fine. That you can do both at the same time. But understanding that the way that people behave towards you is 99% about them and their own world, their experience through their own lens, is very liberating, because you realise that it's really got very little to do with you. Even if you think about it, you know, yourself. I've definitely had experiences where I've projected onto people and thought the worst because of my previous experiences. Like, I've applied my previous experiences to this one experience and it just doesn't apply. People are going off their past experiences and applying it to whatever situation is going on now. You know, it's not happening in isolation. That person is kind of like amalgamating all those previous triggers or all those previous experiences to then be convinced that you're doing the same thing. You cannot control other people's experiences. You cannot control how other people see you. Other people's view on you is literally a projection of all their past experiences. If you are somebody who is really happy-go-lucky, you've got really great people in your life and you're somebody who has a really great energy about them and they're happy, to somebody who is the opposite of that, somebody who is triggered, somebody who is unhappy, somebody who doesn't have great connections in their life, maybe don't feel like they're that charismatic or energetic, you're going to piss them off just by existing. That's not personal. That's pointless trying to get validation from them or seeing their point of view as something that you should take on. You can't control that they're going to be sour towards you simply because you are happy and good things are in your life. You can't control that. So trying to gain the approval of somebody like that, it's pointless. You're never going to win because unfortunately you're reminding them of a trigger and they're going to not like you for the fact that you simply exist and you can't help that. One of the biggest things you can do to gain more internal validation is to heal that people pleaser part of you, those people pleaser tendencies that you have, because people pleaser tendencies are all about gauging other people's opinions, gauging other people's thoughts, and molding yourself to be amenable to them, to be acceptable to them. If you can overcome that, you are healing your people pleaser tendencies. If you start putting in boundaries and saying no more often, you are healing that people pleaser part of you. If you start doing things because you like it and it makes you happy, even if other people might not approve of it, you are healing that people pleaser part of you and you are developing self-trust and you are developing a greater sense of getting that internal validation. That's how you're going to do it. You're going to heal those people pleaser tendencies. And, you know, this sort of pursuit of doing things for everybody else and always putting your needs last. When you start putting yourself first more and you start being more selfish, can't even say that, but just being more focused on you and putting yourself first, you are literally convincing your brain that you matter more and that your opinion matters more, your experience matters more, your thoughts matters more, you know, what you want to do matters more. You're convincing your brain that you need to value getting internal validation more than you do external validation. And I think one of those things actually is also being decisive. I know this is like a little add-on, but I realized that the more decisive I was and the more I kind of took the reins in my own life, the more internal validation I was focused on as opposed to getting external validation. When you're more decisive and deliberate with who you have around in your life, what you have around your life, what your goals are, you realize how much of your life you were focused on doing things that other people would approve of. I think as well, like having certain friends in your life can exacerbate this feeling of needing external validation. Personally, for me, I started to walk away from former friends that kind of required me to abandon myself to be around. Like I had to sort of put them first and I couldn't really have boundaries with them because they just wouldn't like it. When you start to kind of push back on that and those people start to come out of your life, you start to realize how much external validation you were trying to glean from them. And now they're out of your life, you're like, cool, I can focus on just getting internal validation and getting validation from my choices, my decisions, and my experience. You choosing deliberately what's in your life is a really great way of practicing getting internal validation because you're making that decision, you're owning it, you're taking accountability for whatever decision you make. You know, you're putting your thoughts and what you think is best first. There's no objective, you know, this is the right thing, this is the wrong thing. That's what it comes down to. Respect for yourself, trust for yourself, and being able to make a decision for yourself. So if you can start with those small decisions like planning dinner, and then you can start to make those bigger decisions like, okay, I'm gonna wear this outfit, I don't really care if other people don't like it, like I like it, and that's it. Being able to make a decision when it comes to like your career, okay, I'm really scared because there might be these problems, I might encounter this risk, so on, and just doing it anyway, and like backing yourself. Those things are eventually going to build up and accumulate in your brain as examples and evidence that you making the decision was right, that you choosing yourself was the right thing to do, and that you can therefore trust yourself. Think about it with another person. How do you develop trust? Well, through experiences. You have multiple experiences with them that indicate to you that you can trust them or that you can respect them or they respect you. It's like the actions you take, and it works the same with yourself. You have to do things that you would do if you were trying to build trust with somebody else and apply it to yourself. That's how you're going to get internal validation. Anyway, that is it for today's video. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you gained some value from it. This was quite an interesting one for me to talk about as well, because it's something that is very recent. Still on that journey, still practicing, trying to gain more and more internal validation as opposed to external validation. We're never going to be perfect. We're always going to kind of want external validation because we're social animals. We're always going to want to get maybe some approval from other people, and that's okay, especially people that matter to us. That's fine. But I hope this video kind of showed you that it's more important to get internal validation and much more secure grounds to be basing your worth on, as opposed to getting it from external validation. If you did enjoy this video, please don't forget to like and subscribe. That really, really helps me out. Honestly, I appreciate it so much. I love growing this channel, and I love kind of connecting with people that are into self-care, mindset work, growth, spirituality. If you like that kind of stuff, definitely subscribe, hit that notification bell. Anyway, with that, have a fantastic remainder of your day. I will see you in my next video. Bye.